so let's start off quickly with, I've asked each of our participants, our panelists, to speak for up to 3 minutes, give a quick introduction to themselves and their career path. So basically, how did they get where they are today? So I'll ask each of you, how did you get where you are today? And also, if you're originally not from Japan, why did you end up in Japan doing this kind of job? Okay, so Sherrin, can I go to you first? Is that all right?
Yeah, starting from me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Sherrin Wu from Kyushu University, and I work as a science communicator here, basically doing the press releases, but also doing the writing of the feature stories about our researchers, how they're communicating and connecting to the local society. And also we're doing several outreach events connected to the local community. And we're also contributing to some of the university strategies about bilingual or media strategy to involve more international audience. So I have a career path because this is my first job, but I can give a bit background of myself. I had my undergrad in China, where my research interest was more on the multimedia, museum, and cultural communication. And that's where I also did a lot of volunteer in the science museums in China. And after that, I just decided I need to get a degree in science communication, and then I just moved to the UK. How I came to Japan is somehow a really sudden decision that I was doing my thesis and I just received an email saying like there's an opportunity in Japan. At first, I was really afraid of it because all my knowledge is coming from the drama. I know the Nenko that you need to be super obedient to the senior people. And also I saw Hanzawa Naoki. So like I was imagining like Dogeza is quite common thing in Japan. Can I handle this? But there are three things that made me finally decided to come here. One is Kyushu University, their strategy, their vision is to drive social change with integrative knowledge, which means they're not only putting emphasis on the fundamental knowledge, the research, the breakthroughs, but also how to connect science, social science, art and humanities with the whole local community and in Japan. And I think that's where my knowledge and experience can contribute to it, and I just apply for it. One more thing is more personal, is more like when I was doing my degree, I saw a big earthquake in Turkey in 2003, which killed more than 50,000 people. I was thinking like Japan is quite developed and they're strong and resilient with disasters. And I'm thinking if I can get this experience to share with the world and get a more resilient network worldwide. And one more thing is because it's closer to Shanghai, where I originally come from. It's like I can get closer to my family. So yeah, that's everything from me.
Great, thank you. So for you, sort of this idea of social responsibility and sort of is really important kind of part of your career decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, okay. Thank you very much. Daniel, do you want to go next?
Yes, thank you. So I'm Daniel. I'm at Kobe University, and I'm the International Public Relations Officer there currently. My entry path into science communication was what I thought is one of the standard ways of doing so, which is I was really interested in science and I wanted to learn as much about science as I possibly could. And during my studies, so that drove me all the way to PhD, and my PhD is what brought me to Japan. So after my master thesis, I looked at different opportunities for doing a PhD, and the one place where the thing that I wanted to study and also financial support matched up was Hokkaido University. That's why I went there. And so during my studies, I learned that I really want to keep on learning about science. I'm not so much interested in doing research myself. I want to keep on learning, and I realized that science communication would be a place that would allow me to do so, and also share with others my fascination for this institution. So that's what I did. I joined, first of all, actually through Naoki, who is also here. We got an internship in his office, and then learned the trade, so to speak. I got a job at Hokkaido University directly after my graduation too, which was fantastic. And then for private reasons, I moved back to my hometown, Vienna. I stayed there for 3 years. I developed board games. I was a freelance science writer. I also joined the University of Vienna as a science communicator there. And then I realized that actually, in terms of career opportunities and support you would get from a community like this, very much like this, Japan was a better place than at least continental Europe or German-speaking Europe, I don't know. So that's why I started to apply for different positions in Japan again. And I got hired by Kobe University. And what I really liked about this is its emphasis on strategic public relations work there. The last thing I want to share at this point is that the person who hired me after about a year or so left, jumped ship. He was laughing, which left me without a boss. And this was actually also quite interesting because while kind of distressing at first, it allowed me to kind of blast my own trails and then start to build the connections and develop into a whole outreach person who's trying to find his own footholds. That's why.
Yeah, great. So it's important, you see, to have these moments of freedom or abandonment, I guess, to grow. Sorry about that. Moving quickly on to Mikas. Tell us about your background and career here.
Hi, I'm Mikas. I'm from Hiroshima University. So my background is journalism, and my path towards science communications is nonlinear. So by that, unlike Sherrin, I didn't take up a science communications course. I found this job on LinkedIn at the time when I was thinking about the pivot in my career. I think everyone was thinking about it during the pandemic. So the pandemic was starting and I was thinking about, maybe I need a shift. And then I found it. So for me, I think it's a natural transition for journalists to enter into science communications because as journalists, you naturally just have to translate complex topics into easily understood concepts. And also, we handle lots of documents daily and try to interpret it. And at that time also, I wasn't ready yet to transition or to move to like a more corporate company. So I was thinking of if I moved to a new job, I wanted still to be geared towards the public good. So it was perfect timing that I saw this job opening. So I think that's it.
Right. Thank you. But why is there anything particularly about the shift from the Philippines to Japan?
Oh, yeah. So actually, my first job right after I graduated was in Japan.
All right.
It was in social media for a Japanese company, Juku. It's a cram school. And after 3 years, I went back to the Philippines because I want to practice journalism. Stayed there for a while, and then since I already know a bit of Japanese during my stint 15 years ago there, so I was like, yeah, maybe I can freshen up my Nihongo again.
Yeah, great, thank you. So I mean, journalism, yeah, clearly quite a lot in common with science communication, but also the idea of sort of contributing to the public good, contributing to society again is an important aspect then. Great. So Rina, can I go to you next? I think you've had quite a varied career.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm Rina Matsuki from Osaka Metropolitan University. And then let me share my slide. So I think it's easier to talk. So I practiced. So it's supposed to be like this. Can you see this? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So my background, I'm studied out. First, I graduated from majoring in Chinese ancient literature, which is very unusual. So I suppose my first foreign language should be in Chinese, but however, I'm not really a good student. So I think English is my second language now. So after the graduation of Japanese university, I studied out in a travel agency and then got some kind of international experiences by selling lots of honeymoons to Hawaii and so on. And then I, felt like maybe I want to study a little bit more and then quit the job and then studied in Seattle, University of Washington, where I learned lots of multicultural things. And then after I got some experience in working in American local bilingual elementary school, I came back to Japan and then worked for very huge, home electronics company starting from P, maybe, And then where I was assigned as like a supporting member for the PR division. And then I learned how to do PR in Japan, for the Japanese media. And then after that, I changed my job into the university where I myself had graduated from. So I'm alumni. And I got the position in a section chief. However, this is where the part which maybe I'm a little bit different from you. I was hired as a regular administrative staff member. I'm not a PR professional member. So fortunately, I was assigned in a PR section where I can utilise my, learned, skills from my previous job. And then I become a manager for the PR section. And then so I'm not the, professional science communicator. And then one time I had an opportunity to talk to Riken, Kobe, and Mr. Yamagishi, because we had a joint PR. And then first time I know, okay, there is an international PR, research PR exists in this country. Then Yamagishi-san brought me to the JAXT meeting where I met Euan and then David and then Namba-san and then all those members who helped me a lot. So I brought this, international research PR into my university. So this is my, 10 years. Okay. That helps you?
Yeah,
So
thank you.
all.
Yeah, that's great. So that's another route, right? From company PR through to university PR. Okay, moving on. Naoki, do you want to go next?
Okay, thank you. So can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, so I'm Naoki Namba from Hokkaido University, and I have been here for almost 10 years, and I'm heading public relations and communications division here. And so it starts around 25 years ago when I was in graduate school studying molecular biology. I realized that I was not going to be a scientist, but I was more interested in communicating science with the public. And so as I graduated the graduate school, getting my master's degree, I looked for a science communications job, but at that time in Japan, there is no science communication positions at all, as far as I could find. But in hindsight, I think the Science Museum in Tokyo, Miraikan, around that time was starting to hire science communicators, but I didn't know that. And so the first job I got is a job as an editor at a medical publisher in Japan, in Tokyo. So although I stayed there for a short period, I learned a lot about the basics of editing and publishing. But I found that was not I wanted to do. So then I moved to a national research institution called RIKEN, located in Kobe, where I worked as a science coordinator, and I was involved in almost all aspects of public relations and science communications there, starting from writing news stories, hosting visitors, organizing events, making brochures, managing websites. And I enjoyed that job so much, but I stayed there for 13 years, so I felt it's getting too long to stay at one place, and I wanted to start something new. And then I found that my current affiliation, Hokkaido University, was looking for somebody who can lead their international public relations team that they were about to launch. So I joined that team. And so I was first involved in international public relations and science communications, but I gradually got engaged more in domestic public relations and science communications. So, and finally, 2 years ago, the university made this new public relations and public relations and communications division that covers both domestic and international public relations and science communications. So that's how I got here.
Great, thank you. So again, that's another, I think, a fairly common route is from scientist through to science communicator. Right, last but not least, David.
Hi, thanks. David here at Kyoto University, where I have been running the Global Communications Office for just over 10 years. But I joined the university about 17 years ago and spent time running communications and event planning for ICEMS, which is a research institute within the university. And then also spent some time at the Research Administration Office, KURA. Previous to that, I've done a lot of different things. So a bit like Rina and some of our other colleagues who've kind of taken a more maybe adventurous route to this kind of work. I have variously worked in Japanese media. I was in Japanese television doing news out of Washington, D.C. Subsequent to that, I worked as a diplomat for the United States and served in China and in Austria. And then separately, I have also worked for part of the Japanese government that builds nuclear power plants. So I've kind of seen sort of inside and outside and looking back and forwards and so on. And it's with that feeling, I've had a long sort of family relationship with Japan too. I tried for a while being sort of an Asia, Japan person in Washington, and I found that not to be very rewarding because there's so many different things happening in Washington, so many different countries and regions trying to get media attention and government attention and so on. And after the bubble had burst in Japan, which is already now ancient history practically, the attention that the world was giving to Japan was shrinking. So I felt probably I could use my experience better as being an international person in Japan and sort of helping Japan deal with the world. And one sort of common thread for me has been communication and media. And I had long felt that there are many great things about Japan culturally and in terms of literature, of course, as well. But I felt that science had advanced to an amazing degree and in many ways wasn't being communicated well. So when the job opportunity came up at ICEMS, I jumped on it because I felt that this was a way to help translate and communicate really good research that was coming out of Japan. And it's been a really great time. Coincidentally, right around the time I was sort of establishing the office there, similar things were going on in other parts of the country. So it's been a very rewarding time in many ways, being able to work with Euan and Naoki and Rina and everybody else who's joined in the years since, because this sort of network didn't exist before. And it's really nice. We have to kind of thank in some ways Neil Calder, who was at OIST many years ago, because he was sort of making a call out to all of the institutions in Japan and saying we need to work together more. And it's been really rewarding also to be part of that vision of making Japanese science something that that the country can be proud of and we can exhibit to the world.
Yeah, thank you. I think that was that 2015? Was it that meeting
something like that?
Always around then, right? There was really everyone sort of that was doing science communication sort of met together there, and that was really a starting point, I think, for a lot of things. So, yeah, definitely Neil had a really big impact there, I think. Okay, so thank you very much to our panel. We've had a variety of different backgrounds. I think myself also in a similar sort of way, somewhere between all of those. I would like to open up to our audience, or if you have any questions, please raise your hand or write it in the chat if you have anything you'd like to ask our panel or that we can respond to. While people are thinking if we'd have any hands coming up, not at the moment. So what about, in the meantime, while we're waiting, can I maybe just start off asking you all, are there any particular sort of skills or experiences you've had that have proved valuable? Anything that's sort of at the beginning, perhaps, of your career that was sort of something that you felt was really important later, or maybe even something you sort of felt maybe you should have done this earlier. Are there any sort of particular experiences like that or skills that have proved valuable in your career? David, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I think one thing that just comes up for everybody is bumping heads against the system or against the institution, and so trying to get through bureaucracy or people who don't really understand about science or aren't really interested in research or whatever. And even though we're in research institutions, there's a surprising large number of people who really don't seem to be that interested. So keeping up the enthusiasm level and trying not to let problems sort of pile up. One thing I've said to a lot of our colleagues is be Teflon. Don't let things stick. Just let things slide off.
Yeah.
So yeah, try to keep smiling, I think, is probably one of the big things.
Definitely. Daniel, you've got your hand in the air there.
Yes, relating to what David just said, is that this is certainly an issue that we've all run into. But in terms of characteristics that helped me to deal with that, is that I unexpectedly found being a parent was very helpful for that, because it helps me stay focused on what is really important and kind of try to see through all the clutter and all the noise that comes up and say, okay, this is what we are trying to achieve here. Let's stay on the mission, stay focused, and try to work out a solution together here. And also, it's helpful for time management, because I realize, okay, there are certain things that need to be done at a certain time, and then it doesn't need to be perfect anymore. It's fine as it is. You're dressed, off you go to kindergarten or whatever, right? It's a very similar way. Okay, this thing is kind of publishable, off it goes. And then, of course, having a science background myself, moving on to this office environment, it is a very different social environment with people who can be, well, there's all kinds of people in an office, let's put it that way. And kids throw all kinds of things at you. And so being able to emotionally able to deal with this kind of thing, I found that being a parent is just, how can I phrase it? The more I'm learning to be a better parent, the more I'm learning to be a better outreach person.
Great, thank you. Sherrin, do you want to comment as well?
Yeah, similar to that, it's like, because as I'm a junior person here, it's not only me that aware of that there are some of the system that's not today, but it's more about like, I cannot just say this is wrong, but also I need to pitch it strategically to my bosses, and I think they're somehow more aware of the problems in the system than me. And what I'm trying to do is to like strategically tell them this is what my experience from other countries, from other systems, and this might be a solution, and this is somehow the ways that we can use to change this current situation. So it's more about internal communication, not only saying that they're wrong, nobody's wrong, but like if we can together move to a better place.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important. So one of the things I often say to people as well is that Sure, when you start out working in a Japanese university, sometimes things seem a little bit inefficient and maybe kind of frustrating because it takes time to do anything you feel. But actually, there is a logic to the organization, and there are processes by which things happen. So rather than trying to sort of bash your head against the brick wall, there are doors that can be opened, and learning the system, learning how to navigate the system is really important. And then you can start having constructive dialogues about how to achieve the things that you want to do. And Daniel mentioned at the beginning about strategy as well. Universities do, as I said, they do have processes, and there are ways to achieve things. So if you do explain why something happens, as Sherrin was just saying, if you explain why something is needed or necessary and explain the sort of background to it, then often you can achieve a lot more. And then also, of course, as Daniel mentioned too, I mean, I'm a very strong believer in the Pareto principle, which is that you can get usually 80% of the output with 20% of the effort, but 80% of the effort takes the last 20%. But sometimes we don't really need to get to 100. It's sometimes it's 80 is good enough. Anyway, so sorry, Ramsey, I've been keeping you waiting there. Do you want to ask your question?
Yes, this is something I don't hear talked about much, so maybe this is a stupid question. Maybe there's a reason it's not talked about, but some of us come from Japanese universities and some of us come from research institutions, and there's a big difference there in that universities have a constant overturn of students and tuition money coming in, whereas research institutes we do have graduate students, but they usually don't pay tuition, but it's a different thing. And in universities, you have all sorts of different departments, whereas research institutes are very focused. And I've never heard a discussion of the differences between doing scientific outreach at a university and at doing it at a research institute. We kind of all come to the table and we act like we're all in the same boat, but it's there's got to be some differences there, or we don't talk about the differences, so maybe they're not important. That's my question.
Yeah, great. Thank you. That's really important. So
it's not like in the U.S. where you have college sports mixed in there too, but
right.
It's
yeah. So, but
I think
as you said,
Naoki
that's
probably
really
has the most.
Yeah.
Naoki probably has the most experience in both. Actually.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to pick up something with a different organization types, so different roles and different focuses? Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. As I said, I saw the both research institution, the Japanese university, and the basically Japanese national universities have much less money. Maybe that's the biggest difference, but I think that's not the point. And I think that basically the purpose of science communication at research institution is basically to get the public understanding and support to the research. But at the universities, there is another mission, and that is to get more students or get more international students to undergrad and graduate schools. But usually that part of communication is operated by a separate office. So there is another office that focuses on recruiting PR or so. So in that sense, for example, my division is not that different from what I used to do at Weekend. So basically communicating science to let people know about how what we do in science at the university, and but that leads to the recruitment of people. So there is a connection between those two. But yeah, I wanted to say that there are separate offices dealing them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, I mean, the sort of siloed tatewari kind of nature of the university means that some of these functions are kind of split off. So actually that makes the institute and the university a little bit more similar in some ways. But the other thing is, I think perhaps in an institute, you're a lot closer to the researchers, perhaps, whereas in a large university like Nagoya or Kyoto or Hokkaido, in the central administration, we don't have a lot of direct interaction with researchers quite so much. Rina, what's your experience there?
In my case, my university is not, the huge like, Todai, Handai, or Hokudai. So my struggle is, well, they don't know the category science communication. Well,
Okay.
my division is something like some really, fluent English speakers doing something like international stuff. That's the normal recognition of other people. So different from Hokkaido University, just Namba-san said. In my case, I have to do everything, like, advertisement for the international student, taking care of foreign guests, and then I'm writing a draft for the president's greeting messages, everything. So that's a difficulty. But well, this is maybe a little bit different from the Landok-san's question. So I think I should put it in. Yeah.
Thanks. David, do you want to? You've worked in both as well.
Sure, yes. Having worked at ICEMS initially, which is very mission focused, I very much agree with what Naoki was saying about his experiences. And I think probably just in terms of subject area, the fact that the Research Institute is covering a specific field or maybe 2 or 3 fields together or something like that really makes the message very clear. So it's like, we're doing this science, we're trying to achieve this, and there's a goal there. And then more or less everybody's sort of working toward that. Whereas at the university, it's just all over the place.
Everything.
There's just everybody's doing everything. Nobody's talking to each other, they're just like, so it's much more just chaotic kind of environment where anything could happen. And we deal with scandals too. I mean, we deal with problems. So it's not just, happy research news. It's also somebody's done something bad that we have to deal with, crisis management. So I think that the breadth of the work is really different. The scale of media exposure is really different, and just the pure randomness of it. We don't know from one day to the next sometimes what we're going to be doing,
Right.
and having to manage around that. I think there may be there's a personality type that is kind of important there, where if you want things to be kind of planned out and you want to be able to work in a sort of a structured way, then maybe a smaller institution or an institute would be better. Since I came from a news media background, I'm kind of used to the chaos. So that there's kind of an expectation difference there, I think, about how the work evolves.
Right. So I think one of the differences is, as you say, there's that sort of focus and the simple breadth of the role of communications at a big university. I mean, we're not really science communicators so much anymore, are we? We're just PR people doing everything. Whereas maybe in an institution, I know that in some of the like ITBM or whatever here at Nagoya, it's a lot more focused. They have science communicators who are producing content, creating events and things like that. So the roles, I guess, become quite different. Mikas and Sherrin, what's your experience there with sort of how close do you get to working with researchers in your day-to-day job? Do you feel that you're more of a science communicator or more of a general PR person in your roles? Mikas, do you want to start?
Okay, so for us, it's similar with what David and Rina said. So we do everything. So if you are going to start a science communication career in Japan, I think it's important to think about it as a diplomatic role as well. And I think this is related to what David said about that certain personality type thriving. So I think if you're more diplomatic, there's a high chance that you'll be successful working in Japanese system. And in one way that it helps is that since we do everything, so if there's a request for taking a photograph or a request to help with the booth for an event, so I use it as an opportunity to introduce, actually, I'm a science writer and we have this service at the university that we write about the research of our researchers. And it's one way that we can get word around about the service. And it actually opens doors as well. So you talk to this one admin staff, and then they relate it to the professors or the researchers in their department, and then we get a request after that, and it helps a lot.
So that's sort of being able to communicate well with people, be able to build connections, that kind of skill is really important. Yeah.
Patience, perseverance.
And patience and perseverance. Yeah, definitely. Sherrin, do you want to comment on your experience?
Yeah, so I think I'm also doing both the PR and also the science communication. So we are doing the outreach events and we are doing the press releases. I think compared with the science journalists, we did not have the freedom to be more critical thinking, like critical writing, like these are the limitations. Of course, we're writing the limitations, but we cannot say like, here's another example, and this might be more concerned, but we're more following the willingness of our researchers. I think being in between this role is kind of giving me the freedom both for the pros and cons. So we're also handling the social medias, which is kind of giving us me as a science writer more platforms to promote our science, which is kind of more to the students and younger generation. But the freedom means also like as what Daniel just said, it's about time management. We did not know where I should put my emphasis on. There's so many options. There are so many interesting topics in the huge university. So which should I prioritize? Which is the one that our university should put more focus on is something I'm thinking every day.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ramsey. That was a very good trigger for everybody to start thinking about their positions and careers, their jobs. I think coming from that, one thing that I find definitely also from hiring perspective too is that because these functions are so kind of not nebulous but kind of undefined in many ways, flexible people are definitely more than welcome. Definitely, that's one of the biggest things that I would always prioritize when hiring. Rina, David, Naoki, you in a position as people who also hire science writers. What are the sort of things that you value or look for when you're recruiting people? Rina, do you want to start?
Okay, first, definitely English skills. Not only you are born in an English-speaking country, but if you have some professional writing, experiences, then that's a big plus. And then also, I'm sorry to say this, but the residency or like, your residential status in Japan. Well, sometimes if you don't have the, the permission, we might have to say no because we cannot really wait until you can get the such status because we need a person immediately. So we tended to get the person who has already established some kind of living status in this country. Then friendly, characteristics because as you all said, Japanese university, Japanese society has a certain, types of kind of strict aspect too. So if you are too, nervous about that, maybe you might have a hard time. So we're gonna check those things.
Yeah, great. David?
Very good points. Definitely flexibility and cheerfulness. Big things in writing is important. Being able to understand what is good in terms of communication, what makes sense, the logic, use of language, and so on. And then for me, another huge aspect is love of science. And this is something we all share, and it's always great to talk to everybody just because we all can bring up a science topic and we'll all be enthusiastic about it. But often when there's just all kinds of bureaucratic meetings and all kinds of reports that have to be written and all sorts of other horrible things going on, it's the science that will get me up in the morning and come into the office because the topics are just so interesting and the scientists, when they're really enthusiastic about it and when they're just beaming, you can just feel the energy coming off of them. It's great.
Yeah.
So that's big for me.
Yeah, excellent. And I mean, that's the one of the main points of science communication too, right? Is conveying the passion for science. That's part of the reason we do it. Naoki, any comments
Yes.
added to that?
Yeah, as Euan mentioned, I think that flexibility might be the most important because, as discussed here, especially at a Japanese university, you cannot focus just on science writing. You may need to do many other things. So the flexibility is very important. And in addition to that, I think being proactive is very important. So you should not wait for somebody to give you instructions or ideas, but you should be more proactive to lead in what you do, make suggestions. Yeah,
definitely. I think that's it. I mean, again, science communication, as David said, I mean, things have changed so much in the last sort of 15 or so years, or more years. But at the beginning, it was kind of, well, you can speak English, you can do the job kind of thing. And now we're at a point where people have got skills and they're starting to professionalize and things like that. So we've come a very, very long way. But still, the functions often are not hugely well understood within the university, as I think maybe Rina mentioned. Often we have to just do whatever comes along, even if your job is to your job description says sort of write press releases. Sometimes you're going to have to go and move chairs as well. So it's there's a whole lot in there. Okay, do we have any more questions from our audience? Oh, David,
sorry, if I could just add to that, one huge topic we haven't really addressed is Japanese language ability, and okay. It varies by organization, I know, but I think for the big universities, having Japanese language ability is definitely a plus. And yeah. I say that with some regret. It shouldn't be necessary in many cases, because really good English writing doesn't necessarily go together with Japanese language ability. But being able to survive in the organization and interact with other people and other offices and even researchers in some cases does require some Japanese ability.
Yeah, definitely. Daniel, do you want to tell us about your experiences maybe around Japanese language ability? I mean, you speak Japanese now, but has that been an important part of your sort of career or been a useful tool? What is your feeling there? Could you get by without it?
This is what I wanted to bring at the very end. You asked us to
say
the one thing that is maybe the most important thing for surviving a Japanese organization. I wanted to say Japanese. Do learn Japanese. Right. When I first worked at Hokkaido University, my Japanese was even worse than it is now. I couldn't really communicate with my office peers in Japanese, and I tried to get by in English, and it didn't really work well. In the meanwhile, having improved my Japanese to a level where I can converse without fear with my colleagues was a huge boon for my ability to make connections, to get along with people. So yes, I'll definitely say if you want to survive in a Japanese organization like a university, I think Japanese is an absolutely essential skill. You don't need to speak it perfectly. You don't need to be able to write Japanese press releases but I think being able to converse without big misunderstandings in Japanese is essential.
Yeah, definitely. Sherrin, what's your position?
So my position requires also Japanese writing. So I got JLTP N1 and the full mark, which means I can do the translation. So this is not a huge problem for me, but I do see some of the scientists are not comfortable enough to speak in English. In that time, if I cannot speak Japanese, I might lose the chance to interview him or her. But I think so. Our intern who cannot speak Japanese, he's now using the AI translation tool. So somehow we're overcoming this language barrier every day now. So it's not necessary, but it will be better if we have the ability here.
Yeah. Yes, I think AI is definitely changing the landscape there. Mikas, you said you started off with Japanese skills, but you came back and sort of been improving since then. Is Japanese an important part of your role? Do you need it?
Yeah, it is. Especially because for Japanese institutions, you deal with a lot of departments that need help with their public relations. So it is a big part. It would help if you try to improve your Japanese language proficiency. And it also helps with what, as Daniel mentioned, like smoothing out relationships with colleagues. So at least try.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, maybe like if you have someone like David or Euan or Rina who can like be a mediator with colleagues, how's the experience of other universities?
Right. Yeah, I think so. That's obviously one of the things that as managers, what we try and do is create an environment where our staff can function comfortably and where they can focus on their job, do their writing and produce the content they need to. But I think also from a personal perspective, if people can also interact with the system in Japanese, then it's much better for them personally and for their career as well. I think that's definitely a huge help. We've got a few minutes left. Asako, you've raised your hand. Do you want to?
Yeah, hi there.
Yeah.
I can see some questions in the Q&A box.
Oh, sorry.
So
I didn't
there are
see
three
that.
of them, maybe.
Oh, thank you for pointing that out. I didn't notice those. Beg your pardon. They're just loading. Okay, thank you. Very sorry to everyone who's been asking. So going in reverse order there quickly. Adrian, do you navigate potential language barriers, both in communicating with researchers, but certainly also navigating the job market and institutions? So we've kind of picked at this a little bit. So I think most of us on the panel here have kind of got the bilingual skills to sort of navigate that. And I think we've kind of covered that. I mean, really, it is an important part of, if you're looking to a long-term career in Japan, I think getting Japanese language skills is a absolute essential thing to gain. Andrew, can the panel speak on career progression opportunities in the Japanese system? Are you evaluated on research or an admin track? David, do you have any comments on that?
Sure, yes. In a bigger institution, there may be a chance to move to other communications positions within the institution. For example, we have different institutes and departments that have communication jobs. So that's one area. Another thing is that there's been fairly good, even amongst all of us here, there's been some good mobility between institutions to other communications jobs. So it may be not obvious, it may be not a sort of thing where there's a defined kind of track, but these sort of jobs open up periodically between these different institutions. So if you engage with the community, you can hear about these things, and there's all kinds of things going on.
Yeah, I think definitely there's, I mean, looking at the JAXT and the JSF lists, there's usually jobs posted there and also JREG in. Naoki, do you have any comments about sort of career paths and progression opportunities? I mean, obviously mobility, moving around, there are more positions now, as David said, so we can move around a bit. Have you got anything to add there? Not really?
Not really, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Daniel's got his hand raised, so let's go to Daniel.
Yeah, this is the very reason why I came back to, one of the two major reasons why I came back to Japan. One is the network, as I mentioned earlier, and the other one is the career outlook that exists in Japan. In Europe, or at least in German-speaking Europe, if you want to do science communication or outreach, you are really locked into this admin sphere. And I saw with my colleagues there that even after 15 years, the university was still basically exactly where they had started 15 years earlier. Whereas here in Japan, there is this mobility. There's the possibility to jump between different kinds of positions. There is professionals with like specialist skills, and then there is academic positions that allow you to do this kind of work, that also allow you to engage in maybe work-related research too. So I think this is a great opportunity here. So I think within the Japanese system, there is lots of opportunities to progress your career.
Yeah, great, thanks. So 2 more questions. The big picture question. What's the big image of science communication in Japan in the next 10 years and later? This is kind of, we need another hour for that one as opposed to 5 minutes. Rina and David and Naoki, perhaps very quickly, in where are we going in the next 10 years? Where do you see your university in 10 years and science communication or communications at your university in 10 years? Maybe just very, very briefly. Rina?
Okay, so in Japan, internationalization pressure is huge onto all levels of the university. So each university tries to, go more internationalized. So I think, not only from Todai to like a top 10 level, I think more medium or lower level of the Japanese university is going to start doing international PR, science communication. However, they don't have the, human power to do it. So I think they're going to outsource a lot. That must be the kind of picture, I think.
Right,
so only powerful university can do in-house.
Right, absolutely. Naoki?
Yes. This is a difficult question, but I think it's the situation around science communicators at Japanese universities have been improving in the past 10 years. For example, there were much less science communicators at Japanese universities, but now there are more positions, and as discussed, there is a mobility between them. And in the next 10 years, I think the Japanese national universities have this financial problem. It's getting much less budget from the government, and it's becoming more competitive. So I think the PR people, including science communicators, should produce more substantial benefit for the university to earn money or to get more students.
Great. David?
Yes, I agree with very much with what Naoki and Rina had to say. And the other thing is just that things can be really slow. 10 years ago, I had a very strong feeling that we would be growing, that we would be increasing the number of people that we have as communicators. And the need has always been there. The scientists always definitely need us to be communicating for them. 10 years later, we still have the same 3 people that we had at the start. So, I still would like to say that we're in a growth industry, and yet the growth is happening so slowly that you can barely see it. But as has been well pointed out, Japan has a real need to communicate, which means there's a need for communicators.
Yeah, great. So we've got 2 minutes left. We've already heard Daniel's wrap up. Can I asked all of you, what's one piece of advice that you would give to science communicators starting out their career? Mikas, what's the one thing you would say to people in 30 seconds or less?
It has been mentioned already. I think eagerness to learn, and eagerness to understand institutions, and really loving the science. So I think those are important.
Yeah. Excellent. Rina?
Just talk to us. I can answer your question if you email me. Thanks.
Yeah, great. Thanks. David?
Endless patience.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Anything to add, Naoki? No?
Be good at multiple things.
Yeah, multitasking.
Just one more. Plan your career ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Sherrin?
I might say it's the network, not only waiting for the contents coming, but also actually approach them. And also we have the JSF community. A lot of people are supporting me, and like me, I can also support who are not fluent in Japanese. So supporting each other.
Great. Thank you. And Daniel?
Well, Japanese has been said already. So find your niche of expertise and apply it flexibly.
Yeah, I think that's it. Great. So thank you very much to our panel. We've finished pretty much on time, I think. And thanks to our audience. We had a very good audience here. I'm sorry we didn't get to all the questions, but if you do, as Rina says, if you have any questions, you can contact all of us, join the JSF community and ask there, or on the JAXT mailing list as well. There's a big overlap between those two groups. And thank you very much for sharing your ideas.